So let's go talk more about Libya, because we're joined now by Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, the Center for Advanced Defense Studies, and he's the author of Operation Dark Heart. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We had moments ago, we were joined by Leland Vittert, who was live via Streambox from Misrata, Libya, and what we want to talk to you about was this meeting that the U.S. reportedly met with Gaddafi officials, that they actually had face-to-face talks in neighboring Tunisia over the weekend. Is this true?
Well, as far as I know, it is true. The problem with the meeting is it's still basically telling Gaddafi, you're not welcome, time to leave, but not really giving you any options. And let's be totally transparent here. A friend of mine, former Congressman Kurt Weldon, tried the same thing almost 3 months ago now, where he went physically in. He knew Gaddafi from the days they were negotiating with him back to try to get rid of the WMD issues back right after 9/11. So the administration kind of tried this, and frankly, I still believe until they give Gaddafi a path somewhere, you're going to continue to see him resist. And frankly, that's part of the problem. We've not thought this through. We've not decided what we really want to do. And what I think what we see here is like two blind knife fighters, the Gaddafi folks and the rebels just slashing each other, and the civilians are the ones who are supposedly being helped by this are being killed.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of casualties that are happening. There was 520 of the rebel forces killed in a 5-day period, and they're saying this huge number came because of the lack of experience on the part of the rebels.
Well, and part of this is still the fact, and let's be totally, again, upfront and transparent here. If we decided, we, the United States, decided we wanted to get this done, we could have an armored cavalry regiment on the ground and take care of this in a week. I mean, that's the honest truth. Militarily, we could have had this over a long time ago. What is unclear here is what is our real policy? What are we really trying to accomplish? And leaving it to NATO, as we have done, we've seen the chaos, and this resembles completely the chaos we saw with the Europeans dealing with the Bosnia situation back in the late 90s. And until we decided, we the U.S., with NATO, pushing NATO to do something, it wasn't resolved. It took Wesley Clark, General Clark, and an air campaign of about 90 days or less to resolve it quickly. This is where the whole premise of the humanitarian issue does not carry weight, because we've allowed this to kind of meander. And as long as meanders, we're going to have problems with the oil market, because Misrata is an oil-producing center. We're going to have problems with Gaddafi and who's really in charge. We've recognized the rebel transformative government, but what does that really mean? So frankly, and by the way, I was over with one of the congressmen overseeing this, Congressman Walter Jones, yesterday. He's in the dark. He sits on the Armed Services Committee, and the administration, despite what it keeps saying, is not communicating what its intentions are.
That's a big problem. And, I mean, you have a tremendous amount of experience, which is really noteworthy. I mean, you've worked and had key roles in multiple interagency operations that are conducted with the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, directing Task Force Stratus IB, a unit that conducted cutting-edge technology and information operations from the mid-90s through the turn of the century. I mean, what would be your advice to them going forward to try and have, get this together? I mean, no one's communicating. There's a lack of cooperation and information sharing. We really don't know what our position is there. There isn't any kind of transparency about it. It doesn't appear to have a clear goal or direction.
My advice, 3 points. First, define what you're really trying to accomplish. If you're trying to accomplish regime change, just do it, to quote the old Nike term. Secondly, do it, to quote the old Nike term. Secondly, unity of control. Once you've decided on that, figure out what is available to accomplish that mission. I'm a big fan of Colin Powell, and the Powell Doctrine should apply. Once you've decided on what you're going to do it very quickly, get it done, and then move into this peace reconciliation process with a plan. The Russians may or may not be involved. I just heard that report. There's a lot of folks out there who could help mediate and help bring things back together. This is a tribal conflict. We have to understand the tribal issues which go back beyond, which we've not done. This is not simply a freedom uprising. We have to understand that and embrace that. That's something we didn't do in Afghanistan, and we all see the problems we have there now.
Exactly.
So those are the 3 things I would recommend.
Okay, and we've got a question from one of our panelists. Bob has a question for you. Go ahead, Bob.
Hi there. Listen, first of all, I completely 100% agree with everything you just said. And it's been maddening to abandon this mission to NATO. The Europeans, they can't figure out what they're going to do with their currency. They're certainly not going to be able to figure out what they're going to be able to do in Libya here. But the real question to me is the one the issue you hit on right at the beginning, which is you have to give a mad dog an exit path. You can't, he's never ever going to leave, ever, until he's killed, unless we give him a way out. I mean, look what happened to Mubarak in Egypt. He's, Gaddafi is looking at Egypt and saying, my goodness, that's a civilized country compared to Libya. What's going to happen to me if I get captured? So he'll fight to the death unless we get him out of there. Do you have an idea about where could we take him? What could we do with him at this point?
Well, this is one of the things I've said on .com before is we need to look at the Arabs for resolving an Arab situation. Qatar and some of the other nations, Bahrain, have all offered assistance. Why don't we talk to them about bringing Gaddafi out and putting him somewhere? Let's not forget that leaders like Idi Amin Dada lived out his days in exile in an Arab country. So we've done this before. Second point, and if we decide we don't want to give him sanctuary, we need to kill him or bring him to justice. The last Bosnian wanted man was just arrested, I believe, yesterday, who now will go to the World Court. The World Court attempted to indict Gaddafi. Look, I think that's a viable course of action to find a way to either kill him or capture him so he can be tried for the murder of the Americans he's killed. And let's be brutally honest here. He has killed Americans, and I'm simply baffled why we're not talking more about that very fact.